Hello everybody, my name is Melina Maldonado and welcome back to my YouTube series EDM Engineered. Since we learned everything we need to know about EDM in our last video and all of its history, today we're going to be talking about the evolution of EDM's production technology. And if you haven't checked out my last video, make sure you go and watch that one before you watch this one because it's just going to make everything a lot easier to understand. So without further ado, let's get into the video. As I mentioned in my last video, the Beatles were the first to use electronic instruments in their music using a special machine called the Moog synthesizer. Now this synthesizer had a bunch of different modules to it to produce different sounds, and it was normally played using a keyboard, and the Beatles, theirs had like hundreds of jack plugs and 2 keyboards to produce their sounds. The 2 German men that were in Kraftwerk use a mini Moog, which is similar to the Moog synthesizer, but it's much more portable as it is smaller. It served as the archetype for all electronic keyboards and was the first synthesizer to be sold in retail stores. Kraftwerk used this device to lay down a foundation for EDM. I talked previously about how hip-hop had a huge influence on EDM in the 1970s with the Jamaican DJ Kool Herc, who used the technique of turntablism. Turntablism is the technique of mixing back and forth 2 similar records to lengthen the break. Techniques released their first SL1200, which became the industry standard for DJs at this time. It was essentially a record player that you could use in combination with a DJ mixer. On the production side of things, synthesizers were still very present in this era. The 1974 disco hit Rock Your Baby by George McCrae was one of the first to use a drum machine where the drummer was completely replaced by the Roland's TR-77 synthesizer. Let's take a listen to the song once again. As disco music went on, so did electronic dance music. The manufacturer Roland continued to produce systems that replaced real-life instruments with more electronic sounds throughout the 80s, and this helped create those subgenres that we talked about previously, like house and techno. The Roland TR-808 was an electronic drum machine, and it made music have a much more powerful and heavier bass, and it also made music sound kind of futuristic. Devices like the Roland TR-909 drum machine and the Roland TB-303 bass synthesizer came into play to shape this new sounding genre. But the main thing that revolutionized EDM to as we know it today was the introduction to the musical instrument digital interface, better known as the MIDI. The MIDI allowed computers, softwares, and digital instruments to communicate and kind of talk to each other. Everything was able to work in one space where it transmits and stores music, and this really changed electronic music forever. The 90s took EDM and implemented it into rave culture with electronica music and MDMA. Along with this, Moving Picture Experts Group produced the MPEG-1 standard, which is the compression standard for video and audio files, which is actually now known as the MP3. Pioneer DJ also released the CDJ-500, which was similar to the Technics SL-1200, but instead of the music coming from records, it was coming from CDs. With this new equipment came new effects like echoes, pitch control, filtering, and so much more. The Pioneer EFX-500 effector helped the 90s EDM genre with the electronic sound that was booming at this time. Right before the new millennium hit, the first DJ system came to the marketplace. Final Scratch allowed DJs to manipulate MP3 files and keep a whole library full of music that they were able to mix, make new sounds with, produce, add effects to. It had everything you could ever want. Final Scratch was finally being used as the DJ industry standard in the 2000s, along with the DJ software system Serato working with Final Scratch, so DJs were able to use their laptops and a turntable mixer at the same time. We also saw the use of digital audio workspaces like Logic Pro, Ableton Live, and FL Studio made for production. These workspaces are located on computers and essentially allow producers to make an entire song digitally. They can add effects to their songs, they can mix their songs, they can master their songs, all on one platform. We see a lot of practices from the 2010s still being used now, with all production being solely on digital audio workspaces. And we've also seen a lot of independent artists rise to the top from advertising themselves on social media as a producer or a DJ. An example of someone who quit their day job in 2015 to pursue music is EDM artist Dom Dalla. Dom Dalla uses a bunch of different software, hardware, and plugins to make his music, but he also uses the stuff that an everyday person has, like his MacBook Pro and his iPhone. The main production and DJ equipment he uses is a MIDI controller as a synthesizer, and the Roland SBD SX sampling pad for his live music. The digital audio workspaces he uses are Ableton Live, FL Studio, and Logic Pro, just like everybody else. EDM production has stayed the same for the most part with the use of plugins and synths, but the popularity of becoming a producer or a DJ has absolutely skyrocketed. One famous producer who has taken over the world is John Summit. He has these catchy vocalists singing over his well-produced tracks, which makes such beautiful music. He uses digital audio workspaces like Ableton Live 11, plugins from the brand Soundtoys, a MIDI keyboard, and studio monitors, all to produce his music. There's also been an increase in the use of artificial intelligence in the producing process of EDM. Producers are using AI to assist in the songwriting, recording, and mastering stages. Systema is the first AI-powered software where you can describe what type of music you want in a text prompt. It creates it, and then you change it until you like it. AI is changing the music industry as a whole, and this includes EDM. Thank you guys so much for watching part 2 of my 3-part YouTube series. Make sure you stay tuned for the next one, as I'm going to be showing you guys some older DJ equipment compared to the DJ equipment that is used in 2024. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! It's the way you look at